Good morning. It's Thursday, June 9th. This is my 65th wedding anniversary. But don't worry, I'm not going to bore you about the details of living together for 65 years with my wonderful wife, Gertrude, and raising 3 beautiful kids, etc., etc., etc. I'm here to talk about politics, about the primaries that just ended on Tuesday. So there were some very interesting things happening on those primaries. And none of these things were blockbusters, but they were trends that are worth looking at. So one of the first trends I noticed is that the progressives in the Democratic Party did not do that well in the primaries. The actions and the speaking of many of the candidates talking about defunding the police and leniency toward offenders caught up with them in many places. So several of the leading progressive candidates, particularly in California, San Francisco, were defeated because the people there finally recognized the fact that police are important to us. And they have to be supported. They have to be supported more than the offenders who are let go without paying bail and put back on the street to continue their crime-ridden lives. At least that's the way I see it. So that was one thing that was a trend that carried through most of the primaries. And the other trend that seemed to be happening in these elections was Trump. Trump did not win as often as he would have liked. In fact, he only won maybe 30% of his candidates came out ahead. He had big wins in Pennsylvania, but big losses in North Carolina and other states. So maybe Trumpism is a dying breed, or maybe the country's trying to get away from that. And let's hope that's the case. It has only lost a couple of his selections also. And of course, Bernie turned around and complained about the money that people were raised to defeat the candidates that he had cherry-picked. Let me call it cherry-picking. So Bernie didn't have a good day either because the country is moving more toward the center. And I think that's a good thing because I think when we're out on the extremes, it doesn't work well. It hasn't worked well. So as I look at this, it's clear that the electorate, the people who vote, are moving toward the center, so to speak. And maybe this is a good sign. Maybe this will carry down to those who we put in office, and they will stop doing what they're doing within the parties and try to get together. Maybe with some of the people who are elected in this campaign and look around and see what happened in the primaries, that the nation moved more toward the center, then maybe they will wake up and realize that this country is fed up with the divisions and needs to get together. Let's hope that's one of the byproducts of these primaries, an indication that the country is ready to move toward the center, get away from the extremes on either side, and get something really important done. That's a vision that I probably have dreamed up. It's probably a pipe. So while Trump had the most endorsements of anybody, Joe Biden had a couple of endorsements also, and one of them won by a large margin, and the other one got creamed in the state of Oregon. So even though these people who are running get significant endorsements from people in power or in stature, it doesn't always work. And so while Trump had the most endorsements, he also had the most losses. But that's not a reflection necessarily on his picks. It's just a reflection that the country is fed up with him for the most part, because he did have some winners. But the country is equally fed up with Sanders and somewhat fed up with Joe Biden. So in politics, it's a tough deal. You can't always be on top. And when you're in the limelight, it doesn't bode well for you most of the time. Because people are like that. People like to pick on the little things. And I don't know why Joe Biden's candidate got creamed in Oregon. Maybe she was no good. Maybe he was no good. I don't know. But in any event, the fact that he had a loser and a couple of winners, but he didn't pick that many people. He didn't back that many people. So we just have to recognize the fact that just because you're endorsed by a person in office or somebody who appears to be popular, it doesn't mean that you're going to win. You have to be out there telling a story that appeals to the voters. That is a difficult thing in this day and age. Well, that's all I want to talk about in this set of primaries. And as you all know, I'm vehemently opposed to primaries. I really think they're a waste of time and a waste of money. They don't generate the participation that they should. Only about 25% of the people turn out for a primary. That's about half of what turn out for an election. So why waste our time? Let's just go back to the way it used to be, where the party picks the best possible person. I think when you get a small group of people who depend for their livelihood on picking winners, you have a better chance of getting better candidates. So I would leave it up to the party to decide who should run, and not up to the general public who are not really even interested in showing up to vote. I leave you with that this morning, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.